Red Sox and the Yankees. It all began in 1904 with the Red Sox and Yankees facing off in a wild pennant race to face the New York Giants in the World Series. The Red Sox ended up winning that game, causing the Royal Raiders to trick Yankees pitcher into Jack Tresbro and throw him into a wild pitch in 1904. 8 years later, in 1912, the Red Sox and Yankees faced off the same week the Titanic sank in the first opening game at Fenway Park. Boston won 6-5 thanks to a Tris Speaker walk-off sacrifice fly in the bottom of the 10th inning. Skip 12 years later to the Bronx now, to Yankee Stadium. Red Sox-Yankees faced off. Babe Ruth, a former Red Sox, was able to hit a home run. Final score, Yankees 4, Red Sox 1. Skip a lot of years. By the years past, 1949, a wild pennant race. Red Sox had a one-game lead. The season concluded in a tie, and a two-game playoff was mandated. The Yankees won both games to capture the pennant and knock out the Red Sox. A few years later, in 1962, Red Sox closer Dick Radis was able to beat the Yankees to get his 30th save of the season. Skip another few years later, 1976. A big fight on home plate between two players. Who's still a manager right now, Lou Piniella of the Yankees, and all-time catcher who you may know for the 1975 home run in Cincinnati, the famous Carlton Fisk. They had a big fight on home plate. Pitcher Bruce Lee who was it? I can't remember. Bill Lee. Bill Spaceman Lee broke it. Third baseman Greg Nittles broke Bill Spaceman Lee's back arm. I don't remember the final score of that game was. Skip to 2 years later to 1978. The Red Sox had a 14.5 game lead over the Yankees until it blew away when the lead dwindled to 4. And the Yankees went to Fenway Park for a 4-game series against Boston, the one today known as the Boston Massacre. The Yankees were relentless, outscoring Boston 42-9. The season concluded in a tie and a one-game playoff was mandated. Red Sox take the lead 2-0 thanks to an incredible home run by Carl Yastrzemski off Gadrian. I think it was the second inning. And then later, a few innings later, Bucky Dent hits a home run off Mike Torres. The Yankees won the game 5-4, enabling the cursed Red Sox to stay in the dust. A few years later to 1999, turns out that wild year between those two. The Yankees won the division, Red Sox settled for the wild card. What I do want to say, though, is this. Roger Clemens had a complete game shutout, scoreless by both teams going into the top of the ninth with a runner on first, nobody out. Trot Nixon came up and hit a big home run. Later, though, in the ALCS, the Yankees went on a few months later in September. Pedro Martinez, who was the one known as who has troubles against the Yankees, struck out any Yankee batters. Meanwhile, though, they just settled for the wild card. In the ALCS, they met up for the third time, dating back to 49 and 78. We now continue. Red Sox trail 3-1 and end up losing the series 4-1 thanks to a relentless performance by Al Duque, Leonard Hernandez. Fast forward to 2003. Red Sox settle for the wild card. Yankees get the division. Season series wins. Yankees 10, Red Sox 9. Yankees beat the Red Sox in another season series with them. Fortunately, though, the Red Sox were able to knock out their opponents, the Oakland Athletics. Skip, though. Game 7, series tied 3-3. The Red Sox have a 5-2 lead. They scored their runs on home runs from Trot Nixon, Kevin Millar, and David Ortiz. Big home runs. Solo shot for Nixon. 3-run homer by Millar, and a solo shot by Ortiz. Later in the 8th inning, though, things started to fall into place, and suddenly the shift, instead of turning Boston's way, turned New York's way. Apparently, Pedro blew a 3-run lead and will tie the game at 5. Then, with Tim Wakefield on the mound in the 11th inning, Aaron Boone released a shot all the way into left field. The Yankees ended up losing to the World Series to Josh Beck, now and Michael Warren, were on the Florida Marlins team that defeated the Yankees. A year later, with the Red Sox being really good acquisitions, Keith Foule, Kurt Schilling, they lost their Garcia part early in the season, but they were able to get Damian Cavage, Mike Myers, Orlando Cabrera, all those guys, Dave Roberts. They go on the ALCS. So Yankees, people forgot the Sox got destroyed Game 3. Yankees won the division. Sox settled for the wild card. But Kevin Millar kept his attitude high. Of course, he was like, "Don't let the Sox win this game." But that all seemed unlikely, though, that they were going to win the game because Mariano Rivera, of course, on the mound, he walked Millar. The Cowboy Up sign was the year before. Should have had us win the World Series. Then, of course, Dave Roberts comes in, steals the base. Miller a single, ties the game. Ortiz later walk off. Another night, Ortiz walk off. And Schilling stained bloody sock helps them get Game 7. First team ever to come back against none. It was against the arch rival Yankees, the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox went on to beat reversed the curse against the Cardinals in 2004 World Series. Meanwhile, more matchups came. 2007, the Red Sox settled for the division. Yankees settled the wild card. 2008, all went Boston's way. We settled for the wild card. They missed the playoffs. Well, a very unlikely source. Tampa Bay Rays won the East. We ended up losing the ALCS to Tampa Bay. But a year later today, Red Sox have won 5 games in a row, starting off the sweep at Fenway with the Euclid home run, with the big comeback in Saturday's game, and the Ellsbury steal home. Then to Bay's home run in Game 1 at Yankee Stadium, Game 2 to the Red Sox. They won 5 games in a row. Now on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they will go for a 3-game series at Fenway. The Red Sox and the New York Yankees. Catch that Tuesday on Yes or Nesson. Or catch it on the radio on either WCBS with John Sterling and our play-by-play analyst, Joe Castiglione. See ya.